Hello, everyone. It's Joseph Whitnick back with iConixxx. Thank you so much. I know that many of you have been watching and going into the YouTube iConixxx Live library. There is now, at least at this point in time, 35 documentaries of industry leaders that you will learn so much from. And as I always say, you never know when someone we're working with will say a quote, name a book to read, just anything. Just kind of always be prepared, have your phones there to kind of like write it down or capture some inspiration. Because typically I leave feeling very inspired, and I want you to know that I believe you're going to take away a lot from today. What an exciting person that we're about to talk to. I can't say enough. And I want to then also introduce the fabulous sister / friend of mine that wears amazing lipstick, let alone just has a beautiful persona about her. And she's one of the strongest, most talented women that I know in this industry. And I'm proud to have her on iConixxx with us. So Chris Sorby from Oxford, England.
Hi,
How are you
Joseph.
doing? How you
doing? I'm good. I'm very excited to be introducing our guest this evening. I actually had the pleasure of meeting him when he was quite a little boy. But this beautiful man is a salon owner, platform artist, educator, a model, a spokesperson, a philanthropist working with PanCan, the foundation dedicated to advanced research and patient support for anyone affected by pancreatic cancer. In addition, he's an advocate for environmental research and preservation. Meet the amazing Angus Mitchell. Angus, thank you.
Well, thank you. I got to say, I am a big fan. I've watched Nick Arrojo, I've watched Eric Fisher, I watched Sam Bricado and Sam Vila, and I just love the direction and the knowledge, the awareness of what you guys are being able to spread and give out there. So I'm just happy to be a part of this.
Thank you. That's nice of you to say.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's so important for us, I think, that, well, you know, where Joseph and I are concerned, well, me more so, being a veteran in the industry and looking back on the mentors that I had, I was so blessed. And that's why we began iConixxx, because it's like, hey, who's going to teach our next generation and even the present generation in who created what did they do, how did they affect our industry into the great place that it is today. So with that, Angus, I'm going to ask you, what is the most important lesson that life has taught you?
Most important lesson that life has taught me has to be, do not have expectation on others. So in my life's journey, there were many times in my career where I had expectations that I believed once I had crossed milestones, that the expectations weren't met with the type of energy or excitement that I thought I was going to get. And so therefore, I had to have a good sit down with myself and say, self, you need to be able to have expectations of yourself and have ownership of what only you can do, and not to put expectations on anyone else, so that you can continue to move through whatever it is in your life's journey and continue to do it well.
Wow, that's an incredible answer, and one that we have never had before.
No. Matter of fact, I'm thinking, how does that look on a t-shirt?
Oh my God.
It looks like Angus Mitchell, here I am.
Right. And if it was written all the way around you, you'd have to just keep spinning around and around and around. You know what? That was well spoken, young man.
Thank you.
Jeez.
And you had to understand, there's a lot of people in my life, but I had this amazing partner. His name's John Paul DeJoria. And, for me, following in my father's footsteps, which, was a tremendous cross to bear. I had so many expectations that I thought I would be brought in easier, but it was quite the opposite. A lot of people really sat back and wanted to see how much I really wanted it. And, that when you're going through Sassoon's and your last name is Mitchell, not the easiest, but I really give so much credit to all of my life's journeys. And you'll hear me say this throughout, because that's what life is truly, that's what life truly is it's about a journey of hills and valleys, but it's how you navigate through the low spots and how you keep your head when you're at the high spots too.
Wow, that's beautiful. Wow, dude. Well, let's go on a little bus trip, huh? Let's hop on board and go backwards some years and tell me, you know what? I think it's fair for me to say this, right? I mean, I so wish at the time there's several icons like Sassoon himself that, I would have just gone crazy over talking to and interviewing. And I don't want this to be all about your dad, but your dad was huge. But right now I want to know, because to me, what brought you, I mean, obviously your dad inspired you, but what school did you go to? Where did you go to school? What was all that beginning stuff like? Or because your dad was who he was, did you even really have to go to school? Did you just pick up his shears and all of a sudden it was magical?
I sure wish. No, it was quite the opposite. I was just so nervous. I thought, first of all, I wanted to become an actor, because that just came really, really easy to me. I love being on stage. I love being a character. But then something told me, Angus, why don't you just try going to beauty school? It's going to be a part of your life. At least know and try to learn industry. And then that's something that you'll always fall back on. So at the time I went to Vidal Sassoon, and it was in 1992. That's just 5 years ago, right? And it was just a magical moment. And I feel so lucky to have got the education then at Sassoon's. Vidal would come in and out of the school. And I just remembered this one time, obviously I tried to find a corner where like no one could see me, because I was shaky hands, and I call it my shiny personality, where I get a little dewy, right? And then I'm doing my skateboard set, the finger waves and the rollers, and I hear this beautiful English accent. Wow, Angus, you have hands just like your father. I turn around and I look, and it's Vidal. So, I really have had some magical moments with that beautiful, beautiful man. It was Vidal who was the reason why my father, Paul, got to come to America. He opened up the first Vidal Sassoon salon in New York, in Manhattan, and had managed that. So you could just imagine, every time I would see him, I would thank him. And he would say, "What are you thanking me for, Angus?" I said, "Well, if it wasn't for you, my father would have never been brought to America, and I wouldn't have been born and given the opportunities that I have today."
Wow. So with saying that, Angus, my next question is, what do you owe your parents?
Now that's always that's a huge question, right? I've heard you ask this question time and time again, and it's one that I go, wow, how would I answer that? I just feel so blessed to have this amazing life, and I feel honored that I've oh, this could be an emotional one, you guys.
It's okay, darling. If you cry, you'll be a first, and we'll love it. Go for it.
Well, for me, it was a real honor that I followed in my father's footsteps, and that I would make him proud. So for me to pay it forward to him and his honor and his legacy, and then to create my own identity and create my own legacy. And I'm very proud that I've been able to do that, through not just being a platform artist or being a hairdresser, but through the philanthropic work that my father was always so passionate about. Also, a little tidbit that you don't know, my father was into self-sufficient farms and leaving a carbon-free footprint way back in the 80s. So when he passed away in 1989, he hadn't finished it all. And so I have completed all of my father's dreams of creating self-sufficient farms.
Wow.
Oh, and what are you growing, Angus?
Well, we do a lot of vegetables, but it's a solar farm we have. That is our avapui farm. So yes, the avapui that is in our products, these hands grew them. My dad paid me $1.25 an hour, and I call it child slave labor. You know, when you're saying, "Dad, my back hurts," he goes, "Good, then I know I'm getting my money's worth, son." But yeah, I mean, lots of amazing memories. I would tell people that I worked on a vegetable farm when I was a teenager. And then the other property that he didn't get a chance to finish, it's a waterfall property with 365-foot waterfalls. It runs off of hydro electricity, and it runs the whole property now. So just feeling that I have fulfilled my father's dreams, but then they have become mine. And
Yeah. Awesome.
put my own interpretation into it.
Mm. Oh my God, Angus, he would be so proud of you. Now you're going to make me cry.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's so beautiful that you took Dad's dreams, you played them forward, you added your input into them too, because obviously technology and things has moved on so much since Dad passed away. And so what you've been able to dream up and to work on was probably not possible in that time. Oh, I love you. Sorry, I love you.
I sort of want to say that too, but I think I'm going to hold mine for a while, if that's okay. Angus, once you went to school, then Salon was your dad's salon, Susan's Salon? Was that in New York or LA? San Francisco?
What was that? Well, so that was New York. Father then left and then went on his own journey and created his own. His salon was called Super Hair, and they were doing cutting. They had created a cutting club, and they would be up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning, just cutting hair, perming hair. I mean, come on, the 70s, that was all about perming. My father's hands were so good. Oh, goodness me. He was good at rolling things. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Well,
but I just loved that time and that era, that Paul era, where education was so important. And it was like, if you could imagine Sassoons and the Beatles. So it's like Sassoon brought the cut and blow dry to America. Paul Mitchell was the one who parlayed women out of their rollers and got them into the cut and blow dry hair. And then think about the rock and roll, right? It was the British invasion. It was the mini skirt. It was the makeup. It was everything that was so exciting in the 70s. And if I could ever go back in a time machine, that would be the time that I would love to be a part of the beauty world and the music world. It was fantastic.
Yeah. So where was your dad's first salon?
New York City.
And is that, so did you go to school in New York?
No. My father passed away in 1989. So he had created the company in 1980.
Yeah.
As you know, the story with his partner, John Paul, with their life savings of $700 together. And they worked hard within the first 3 years before they could pay off the bills. And then magic is where it is today. And we are doing so well through these uncertain times. I really have to say, it's such a blessing to be able to be a part of this company that is still privately held, which is really important to know because we're able to turn on a dime and shift and make decisions as they come whenever there's an emergency. Like for instance, we just did hand sanitizer in March when all of this happened, and we gifted it to all of the first responders. Right away, we were able to do that, which I think, by the way, I'm gonna be a hand sanitizer connoisseur. I'm sure we all are at this point, but not that I'm pushing it, but the Paul Mitchell hand sanitizer is fabulous. People think I have hairspray, and when I walk into a restaurant, I just kind of douse people as I walk by. And if someone stops and appreciates it, then I'll give them the product. So, yeah, so we've been really, really doing well on the product end. The other end is our school side, and as you know, distance learning.
Yeah,
that is a huge thing right now. But I think through all adversity, we always learn something, right? So what we've learned is we've now, in each and every one of our schools, we have a platform, obviously, a stage, and we've worked cameras all the way around. So when you're distance learning, or even if you're in the school, you get as if you're sitting in the front row, a front row seat and a front row view. And so now we've learned that we can even reach more people than what we ever thought we could before. More so than a hair show.
Yeah.
And so we're really, really excited with where we're going in the school world and where we are going in the Paul Mitchell world is as far as in salon education and how that's going to change and how many more salons we're going to be able to reach.
Yeah. And then what a fantastic support to all of your customers and their clients. It's really,
yeah.
I remember when I was at, it was years ago, I was invited to a Paul Mitchell event not by you, Angus, by the way, it was by Win.
Okay.
And I can't even remember why I was there or why I had to go on stage and say something, but it was the atmosphere in that room was so beautiful. Talk about family. And, you know, Vivian McKinder, who has been a mate of mine for 100 years, she always talks about the Paul Mitchell schools, the salons, and just, again, the family, the love that runs through your guys' veins. It's beautiful, so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So what trait do you have, Angus, that you're most proud of?
What trait? Well,
I was gonna just ask that.
Well, I've always been told I have a bleeding heart. I have a big, big heart, and I lead with that. So, I always say that there's two people that you'll hear speak from a stage, one that reads from a script and one that speaks from their heart. Which one are you going to walk away and keep? So that's one of my traits. To a fault sometimes, my mother tells me. How can you still talk to that person? He stabbed you in your back. I go, but Mom, there's good in everyone. Really, honestly. And then you can just shake their hands and say, have a nice day. And you don't have to be mean to anyone who's mean to you. I think you just treat people the way that you want to be treated, you know?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And what a wonderful trait to have, and certainly one to be proud of.
Right.
Well done.
When you graduated now from hair school.
Yeah.
Right? Which was that in New York as well?
No, Los Angeles.
Okay. So what was the first salon that you went into after that?
Oh my God. Well, see, I'm just a beach boy. So I went back to Hawaii, which is where I was raised. And I worked in a friend's salon, but all my mates, all my friends were partying it up on the beach. And so they'd call me up and say, Angus, what are you doing in the hair salon? You should be out here having a good time with us. So I quickly realized that Hawaii is not the place for me. and moved back to California. And gosh, I went and worked for Vidal Sassoon. I worked for Sassoon's for approximately 3 years.
Beautiful.
And you know, I worked as an assistant in the Beverly Hills Salon, and I worked in the school. So I was like the first kind of hybrid person that they raised there. And you know, one of my favorite stories is, and if you know anything about Sassoons, they're really, really rigid, especially when you work there. And so the manager at the time saw me standing, and it was a very slow day in the salon, but I had cleaned up the wash bowl area, and I cleaned up the staff room and did all the dishes and swept everything and folded all the towels. And I'm standing there in my black Sassoon shirt with my pants, with my hands behind my back. And the manager says, "Angus, what are you doing?" I said, "Nothing, sir. I've done it all." He says, "Listen, we don't pay you $3.75 an hour to stand around and do nothing." So he grabbed me by my wrist and with a white glove test ran through the whole salon and said, "Right, hold on." Gave me a little plastic bowl with a nail brush and some soapy water and says, "Get on your hands and knees and scrub the grout in front of the reception area." I said, "But sir, isn't there a cleaning crew that comes in and takes care of this at night?" "You talk back to me, Mr. Mitchell. On your knees, start scrubbing." Well, if there's anything you know about me, I'm usually pretty happy no matter where. And so I drop to my knees, I start scrubbing the grout. People are coming in, they're playing great music. I'm saying hi to everyone, I'm smiling. An hour later, he comes up, grabs me by my shoulders and shakes me and says, "What is it with you? Why are you always in a good mood?" And I said, "Well, sir, I feel like Cinderella. There's a light at the end of my tunnel." So I just knew where I was going to go. And then one
I love that.
Yeah.
love that. I love that you're happy to be cleaning, because you know, I mean, it's probably common knowledge that you're a pretty wealthy guy, right? so to know that you've been on your hands and knees scrubbing grout, I love that.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful example to anyone. You know, it doesn't matter what we have in life or where we are or whose son or daughter, mother, sister, uncle, whatever we are. We have to also step up to the plate. And it's very humbling. And you are a humble man, Angus. Well done.
Well, and then I got a phone call from this lovely gentleman. His name is Richard Dalton. He was a late-night hairdresser for 9 years. And he said, "Angus, what is your last name?" I said, "Mitchell." He says, "Right, you get yourself right into your company." And then that's when I went and worked for Paul Mitchell and started educating and started to do the hair shows.
Wow.
We've got Richard Dalton coming on to iConixxx.
Oh,
in a few
nice.
weeks. Yeah, I love him to death. Yeah, he's great.
I want to go back to the whole Cinderella thing, because when you think about it, it's, you know, that's not the mentality sometimes of the student now. It's hard to get them out of the break room unless you entice them with, I mean, who knows?
Chocolate ice cream.
Yeah, but you know, it's good. It's good you said that, Angus, because, you know, when I play this for them, I will pause right before you say that. And then I'm going to have them write down exactly what you said a couple times. And then we're going to highlight it. And then we're going to put it on a t-shirt, because we're going to start a whole t-shirt line. And the back of it's going to be called Angus. I'll call you, though. I'll get the approval for that first. Okay, buddy?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Oh,
all right.
Angus,
what? No, go ahead, Chris.
Is it your turn or mine? No, it's my turn. You always.
You know what? It can be your turn. I love your questions. I love listening to you.
Angus, what's been your biggest disappointment?
My biggest disappointment. Well, you know, I think I had explained it to you before. It's the expectation of others. That's my biggest disappointment. And, you know, I think as we all kind of live our life's journey, I didn't always accept the disappointment. the right way, which is why I needed to sit down and have a real chat with myself. And I think also my biggest disappointment was in my career from 92 until about 2003 is when I put so much pressure on myself. And if you could imagine, you know, you come out of Sassoon's as an educator, you really want, everything is about perfection and how you speak and how you communicate. But then add on the added pressure of wanting to create your own identity and still project and have the industry see you as doing right by your father's name. And my father had passed away by the time I started doing hair. So I didn't have that support, and I didn't allow myself to be free. So I had a lot of moments where I just always felt uncomfortable inside of my gut. And if there's anything that I could give advice to for any student, is to let that go. You don't have to be perfect. Every haircut doesn't have to be cross-checked to death. It needs to live and have movement and have freedom. You need to be able to enjoy what you're doing and not go home and kick yourself because you felt like you didn't do it right. You know, end of the day, doing hair and being good is just by doing it over and over and over and over and over again until you don't even have to think twice about it. Like for most students, I don't think you're going to be doing many, many perms, but I had to do my grandmother's rollers. I mean, you remember the first time you got the papers and you got the perming solution and you got all this stuff in your hands and you're like, it just turns into a knot. You can't get your hands apart because you're so frustrated.
Was this, Angus, was this your grandma in Scotland?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, my nan.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be probably my most, that's my coming to a Jesus moment for like myself. And then once I let that go, then I can't tell you, Chris, I mean, to be able to get up on stage and cut hair with the Robert Cromines, which I would strongly suggest that you get him on here. He's incredible. He's my hero. And
oh, but you know what? While you're on that subject, Angus, we're going to ask you to come on with Robert Cromines and do one of our chain reactions. Could you persuade him?
oh, for sure. Oh, yeah.
Do you have to drop him a couple of bucks or something? Or
No. We have fun. In fact, hey, come on. Listen, right now we are a couple showmen without a stage. So we are excited to do something. It's just, when you asked me to be on here, I said, oh my goodness, finally. I feel like I'm currently unemployed. There's no hair shows to do.
Yeah, I know. It feels really weird, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, I used to get on a plane every week. I haven't been anywhere for a year.
I have found it, I feel so lucky, Chris and Joseph, to be able to be in this moment. I've had more time with my beautiful son who just turned 5. I have found love, and I went on bended knee and professed my love to my beautiful girlfriend, Mara. And that was Thanksgiving. And in Hawaii, where my son got to be part of it, and we all three, well, he and I put the ring on her finger, which is just
cute.
You can watch it on my Instagram.
Oh, yes, I'm going to go to that. So when's the big day?
Well, we are calling it a life partner relationship. And so, yeah, we're still trying to figure it out. It'll be something hippy dippy, but we will still have a ceremony, and we're just going to do it a little bit looser. But
you should, you know, Angus, you should come to Oxford to Andy and I's house. We can get you married in the garden. I'll even do all I have to do to be able to be officiant. And Andy could film the whole event because he's a filmmaker.
There you go, Angus.
And you guys can drop into the hot tub and we'll entertain the little one with our little one.
Perfect. I love it.
That's that.
There you go.
See? Done, dusted.
Chris Torby, wedding planner to 2021.
Exactly. That's lovely. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is lovely. Angus, where do you see yourself to be now in the company 5 years from now? Where are you growing into? What's going on?
Well, you know, again, this year has proven to shift my responsibilities, and more so has driven me more into the running of the company, because as Chris said before, we were jumping on a plane once or twice a month, you know, anywhere from 12 to 20 hair shows a year. Now it's just really kind of put me right where I feel like I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
So not only do I have ownership, but I'm also still working on the education. So when you ask where do I see myself in 5 years, I'm already there. Where I want to focus is continue to expand our education. I just launched a collection. It's called iConixxx Souls. And that's why I thought iConixxx, hey guys, I was on something. You guys are on something.
Yeah.
So iConixxx Souls, and the inspiration for the haircuts and hair color based off of women's shoes. So what good man doesn't know what to get his lady? What good lady doesn't know that knows everything about shoes?
Yeah.
And what good man who may want to wear women's shoes knows everything about women's shoes? So, we used the designers Manolo Blanc, who's obviously more classic, Giuseppe Zanatti, who's my hero. I love the way he designs shoes, inspired through music and hip hop. Christian Louboutin, which is more punk and 80s, and then Stella McCartney, because of her the way that she thinks and creates things in a vegan kind of idolism. So
Wow.
So we just launched that. You can watch it for free. It's on the JPMS website, and just continue to do great things with with different inspirations, because that's what hair is, and we had to inspire ourselves, and sometimes we need to be creative. Like I wanted to do a collection based off of 50s cars, because cars is my passion. When I'm not doing hair, I'm tinkering. But so when I had explained it to my team, they were saying, well, I don't think it's going to translate when we go to Germany or to Asia. And then, would you believe Prada launched a whole campaign based off of 50s cars, where the high heels actually had little taillights at the top of the heel, with inspired hot rod fire embellished on top of the shoe. And then the clothing was like bowler bags, bowler bags with the high skirts in the middle of a desert in a desolate gas station in Highway 69. So I said, you see, guys, I was onto something. But you know, if you can look past what a car is, it's a time period. So
yeah,
50s can be anything.
yeah.
The tail fins of cars to me was when I'm pulling hair out, and it was wherever my fingers were. If it was a big tail fin, a smaller tail fin,
Yeah.
a fender could be the fringe, you know, something
That's
fantastic.
cool.
I love that.
And you know, talking about that time capsule thing, Joseph, that's your cue.
That is my cue. All right, my friend. So off we go. There's an academy that's been around for, God, 100 years now. And we are up in where we are, right? We're no longer exist. But you know what? They're out there. They're doing whatever they do. These students, as they do in my academy, they'll go out and they'll chill. They'll have lunch. They'll have a cigarette or whatever. And someone kicks something, and it just so happens to be a time capsule. And in the time capsule is this list of all these icons, and you're on there. And after each name, it states something about that person that left a footprint in the world of what we do? What would your footprint be? What would you want them to read about Angus Mitchell? Angus, do you have a middle name?
Shane and Paul. Angus, Shane, Paul Mitchell.
Okay, got it. Like it. So what would they read about you? What would you want them to know about you?
You know, nothing that they don't already know, about how I wear my heart on my sleeve, but most importantly, how I just have never given up and always push and push, because, you know, again, this is a great example of life's uncertainties, and to be able to continue to put your best foot forward and see the good. There's always, in every dark moment, there's a learning moment and there's a curve. And depending on how you yourself internalize it, you can hold on to it and let it destroy your life, or you can let it go. And your life will be so much easier if you're able to navigate through the darkest places and just find the light. Just find the light.
Love it. Let's roll that back up. Let's roll that back up. Shove it in the tube.
That's powerful. What makes you happy, Angus?
Oh my gosh, go into my man cave.
What's in there? What's in your man cave?
If you're curious, okay, you can go on gearboxla.com.
What is it?
Gearboxla.com. And for me, I built a place where I can teach and educate. And I built a photography site because obviously at Paul Mitchell, we're always doing photo shoots. It's big enough to pull a car into, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, which means there's about 35 cars that I've collected within the past 15 years. So that building is, to me, is like my Taj Mahal. I like to be able to have people from all over the world come, teach and educate, and then show them the car collection and tell them what certain things inspire me through automotive and how I see it through hair and through art. So, you know, a lot of people talk about architecture. For me, John Lautner, my favorite by far. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of fantastic people out there, but Lautner to me is just the bee's knees. And so
the bee's knees of what? Who was Lautner?
John Lautner.
Yeah, who was that?
Well, you'll have an architect.
Okay.
You'll have to look it up. It's back at Frank Lloyd Wright. So he worked under Frank Lloyd
okay.
Wright.
Frank Lloyd Wright, I know. Okay,
and Lautner did a lot of the James Bond movies were shot in Lautner homes. But so that being said,
those were big.
Yeah. So this space is kind of like my homage to a Lautner. It's an old red brick building, but I've completely gutted it and I've turned it into a education / photography / where I present my cars. And then I have another building that I actually sit down and tape it off as if I'm doing a haircut on paper, and actually create and build one-of-a-kind hot rods.
What?
All right, so Angus, my kit is packed. I think Heathrow Airport is open. So if you could just tell me what time my flight is, I'll be there. I'll educate on whatever it is you want people to be educated on. I want to come to this man cave. I love it.
Oh, you will love it. You truly will. And it's just so, that's my happy place. That's where I go. And then just sit and think, oh my gosh, can I drive one of those things? And my friend goes, well, yeah, it's yours. And I think, oh my God, because I always get overwhelmed, and I really am humbled to a fault where I just kind of sit there and I go, wow, I can't believe I built this. I mean, it's just.
Or have all those cars. I want to know what your ultimate car is. Like, what's your, I don't care if it's young or old. What is that car? You know that car I'm talking about.
Well,
which one makes you juicy?
My favorite one is one, it was the first one that I built with the gentleman that runs the shop. His name is Noel. It's a 64 Cadillac. And what's ironic about the car is it was a car that I bought when I was an assistant at Vidal Sassoon with my minimum wage money. So because I could save that money, and I bought this car with it, and I've had it since '92, and then I rebuilt it. It's no longer a 64. It's a modern day car with modern motor, running gear, suspension.
Wow.
And it looks like a 64, but it looks really, really sexy and something really different about it. In fact, John Paul loved it so much, I did, as a gift to John Paul, rebuilt his 57 Chevy.
Wow.
Gifted it to him. So he's currently in Malibu today for the Christmas holidays, and he went and picked up his car, and I'm just dying to call him up and say, what do you think?
Oh, okay. Well, just before you go to make that call to JP, and please give him our best wishes for the holidays and our love and so on. But just before you do that, when you come over to Oxford for your wedding, when I'm going to marry you in our garden, because we call them gardens. Well, you know that, Angus. You know, we have gardens, not backyards. So just so you know, Andy and I will take you to this incredible place that refurbishes vintage cars. They do everything from the paintwork to the chroming to the leather seats to absolutely every detail. I was in heaven going in that place. So we'll take you there. So see, you got no option. You've got to get married in Oxford.
Okay.
That's it.
We're good. Good to you, Chris.
Yeah, I love it, but I'm just wondering if, Angus, would you ever be interested in designing a cutting stool that was like a design of a car, sort of looking?
Cool.
A cutting stool. Well, you know.
Not a cut, like, yeah, like a hydraulic chair that sort of has a feeling of sexy car.
That would be amazing.
I think it would be.
My friend actually did a barber chair for me with the same type of way that we did the interior. So it's like multi-levels of leather and skulls and rock and roll. And
See?
What it's all about.
See? I knew it was in there somewhere.
Yeah, but hang on a minute. That wouldn't go down too well in a salon where there's some really luscious ladies. So what do you for the ladies, you have to have something that's got these really cool fins on it and,
a place to put their
just
heels.
saying.
It would be very hard, Chris, to be able to cut a nice short bob in a chair with all those bits sticking out of it, right? That's why the chair has to be almost backless, and you can kind of get in tight, so you're not stepping away from the chair just to be able to put your body out. Our backs are already.
Yep. I have, before we go, which will be sad, but we're coming back. There's two things I've got to ask you. One, it left my mind just now, and it had nothing to do with the drugs I did in high school. It's just my moment right now. God. I had a really, really cool question. Oh, I know what it is. How important do you feel? Let's go to the student now, speak to them. How important is it for them to learn their foundations in school when it comes to their cutting and design? How important is that to you, Angus?
Okay, well, listen, just like all of you out there, when I was a student and the learning leader or the teacher brought that doll head and placed it right there in front of us, right? And then they had that magic comb. It was like a magic wand. They just do this, and the hair parted like Moses parted the seas. And let me tell you, my doll head had a bald spot right here after day 4 because I was just raking it. And blow drying. Again, it's about doing it over and over and over again until it becomes easy. Blow drying, extremely important. And especially now during this time, maybe not focus so much on the hair cutting at this time, focus more on the hairstyling, keep the hair on your doll head, focus on the blow drying, curling irons, setting hair, I know sometimes it can be aggravating because I was a kid that every time I'd start the blow dry, it would yank the head off of the spindle and it would hit the floor. And I was trying to pick it up. I'd kick it along the way on the floor. But fret not, you know, there's something amazing that has been invented. It's called a paper towel. Take the paper towel, stick it over the spindle, and then put the doll head on. It won't go on the floor. You can then handle it as much as you want with the blow dryer and your Denman brush. What else? Flat iron. Work on your flat iron and finishing skills, because end of the day, you will get your hair cutting training in the salon that you go to work at. I think we can all feel pretty safe about that advice. The more you know about hair color and hairstyling, that's where your bread and butter is going to be. That's where your success is going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. My second question, how do you think John Paul is an icon?
I'm sorry. Yeah, of course he's an icon. He's an icon in my book. I love that man.
I know he's an icon. I'm trying to butter you up to see if you can get him to come on here.